Hineni, Heani mimas, Veni reshet, veni fredet, mi pachad. Hineni, Heani mimas, Veni reshet, veni fredet, mi pachad. I pray for myself and for my congregation with all my heart, with all my soul. I humbly ask that you hear my prayer with compassion, with love and care. Hineni, Heani mimas, Veni reshet, veni fredet, mi pachad. Here I am, standing before you, standing in fear. Will you hear? It is a new year. Let love be our banner, let it banish our wrongs. May Israel's misfortunes be turned into joy. Lesason ulsimcha, lechaim ulshalom. May peace and truth prevail among us. Here I am, here I am, hear my prayer, hear my prayer. Hineni, 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 Hineni. Baruch atah Adonai, shomei atfilah. Amen.
Here I am, so poor in deeds, I tremble in fear, overwhelmed and apprehensive before you to whom Israel sings praise. Though unworthy, I rise to pray and seek favor for your people Israel, for they have entrusted me with this task. This Hineni prayer begins our Rosh Hashanah service, asking that we, Cantor Bryce and I, come before you humbly, cleanly, openly, and with pure hearts, and that what we do in your name, in God's name, brings joy and peace to all and to God. This prayer is very ancient, and it also harkens back to the time when the priest Hagadol, the high priest, would go into the Holy of Holies only during this time of year and say on the Israelites' behalf, here we are. And so, here we are, here at CRJ in our sanctuary, live and on demand. Here we are, ready to welcome in 5784 on this evening of Rosh Hashanah. We encourage you to absorb and be here, which means turning these off, or at least on silence. Even you at home, feel free to turn them off to really be here. It means pray in ways that feel good for you. Perhaps it's closing your eyes. Perhaps that's singing along or reading along. Perhaps that's standing and sitting when we encourage. And perhaps it's just being in your own body is in ways that work for you. This is a communal prayer space, and yet we are all also here as individuals. But we are here, and you might have been greeted with a Lashana Tova, to a good new year. And so it seems apt that we continue singing Lashana Tova.
Lashana Tova Tikatevu, Lashana Tova Tikatevu, Tikatevu, Vetekotevu, Lashana Tova Tikatevu, Lashana Tova Tikatevu, one more time. Lishana Tova Tikatevu, Lishana Tova Tikatevu, Tikatevu, Vetekotevu.
So did Rosh Hashanah start because we sang that song? Or because we drove here? Or because the moon didn't shine tonight? Right? This is, if you look up in the sky, there is no moon. It is a new moon tonight, which is what marks a Rosh Hashanah. Or is it because we light our candles? And most holidays begin with candle blessings, and that's sort of what really brings in these holidays. So I'd like to invite up the Steinmetz to come kindle our lights with us.
The first mitzvah in the Torah is let there be light. So we are commanded, in everything you do, be a menorah, a bringer of light. Live with honor, act with integrity, do your work with passion, and the radiance of your deeds will live after you. May our ideals burn bright, forever unextinguished, and may we live our lives like the flames we kindle, always stretching upward, striving for the good, reaching for you.
Our prayer is found on page 11.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, Asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav vitzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat v'shel Yom Tov.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, vetzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat v'shel Yom Tov. Amen.
You might have noticed that that melody was a little bit different than one you're familiar with. And the reason is because tonight is special, in case you hadn't noticed. It is Rosh Hashanah, and so our melodies reflect that this is a particular day. So throughout our service, we're going to hear that same musical motif. And so for our musicians in here, you know what I'm talking about. And for the rest of us, we're going, it sounds pretty. Thank you. We're all in different places with that. And so we sort of heard that, and we're going to hear that same motif again as we continue with saying how wonderful it is that we're here together as we sing a Shehechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Shehechianu v'kiyemanu v'higianu lozman hazeh. Shehechianu v'kiyemanu v'higianu lozman hazeh. Shehechianu
We also bring in our holiday with Kiddush. And here at CRJ, we combine candles and Kiddush at the beginning of our service. Not every congregation does that, so I'm going to actually have you flip now to page 78. And I'll have the two of you get the cups. So we lift up this cup for the year that is gone, for mountaintop moments and the taste of joy, celebrations shared, milestones met, all we've mastered and achieved since we last met. Although I'll add, or since we haven't yet met for the very first time. For wedding rings, for tears and kisses under the chuppah, for new babies, first words and first steps, for children who bless the homes and bring life to our community, for B'nai Mitzvah, for young teachers of this holy congregation, ours to cherish and guide with love, for beloved wives and husbands, sisters and brothers, for loyal friends who grow more precious with each passing year, for this community which nourishes us all, for all we've learned, for all we've struggled through, for challenges surmounted and disappointments met with courage, for last moments shared with those we've loved and lost, for parents and grandparents whose memories are forever with us. We lift this cup for the year that is gone, for the year that begins. May we meet it in strength, in unity, in hope. We lift life's cup and celebrate survival, so we may sanctify each day that is ours. And you'll notice on the facing page 79 that we have some Shabbat additions as we continue with our Kiddush.
ויהי ערב ויבוקר יום השישי, ויחולו השמיים והארץ והוצבם, ויחל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישפוט ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה, ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei beri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'am, ve'romemanu mikol lashon, ve'kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'titei lanu Adonai Eloheinu be'ahava, et yom ha'shabbat hazeh, ve'et yom ha'zikaron hazeh, yom teruah, mikra kodesh, zecher litziat Mitzrayim, kivanu v'acharta, ve'otanu kidasha, mikol ha'amim, udvarcha emet v'kayam lad. Baruch atah Adonai, melech al kol haaretz, mekadesh hashabbat v'Yisrael, ve'yom hazikaron.
And we say l'chaim to all of that. Thank you so much. Shana Tova. We flip back now to page 19. Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'yemotenu, yehi ratzon shenachazeh livotecha, bishnat chamishat alafim, shmoniim ve'arba. Our God and God of our ancestors, may we know your blessings in the year 5784. Eternal One, bless us and the whole house of Israel with renewed life, happiness, and peace, comfort and courage, resilience and strength. And may the words of our heart be acceptable to you in the new year that stretches before us. We are forever grateful for the gift of life. This first time, we are about to be invited to rise. And as I sort of said, if your body is there, if your heart and soul are there, take the invitation. And if your body and hearts and soul are not there, then take the invitation to stay seated. It is really what is best for you. And don't worry about what's going on the screens. Most of all the stuff that we're doing tonight is in our prayer books. It's just going to be reset, so don't worry about all that stuff. We are on page 20 as we continue and stand for Baruch Hu.
Ma'avir yom u'mevi laila, u'mavdil bein yom u'velaila, Adonai tzvaot shemo, El chai v'kayam, Tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, Hamariv, Aravim.
Continuing on 23. Bless Adonai, who spins day into dusk. With wisdom watch the dawn gates open. With understanding let time and seasons come and go. With awe perceive the stars in lawful orbit. Morning dawns, evening darkens. Darkness and light yielding one to the other. Yet each distinguished and unique. Marvel at life. Strive to know its ways. Seek wisdom and truth, the gateways to life's mysteries. Wondrous indeed is the evening twilight. We're continuing now on page 25. I'd like to invite up Ellen and Simon Snyder.
Blessed are you, eternal our God, sovereign of the universe, who has sanctified us by commandments and commanded us regarding the reading of the Shema, to declare God's reign with a whole heart, to declare God one with good and willing heart, and to worship God with a good and willing spirit.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto,
We may take our seats. That is, except for everyone, except for Brooke and Cadence, who, there they are. So it is one of our customs here at CRJ for our Ve'ahavta, which we're going to find on page 28, to be read and chanted by our teens. So we're so happy that the two of you are here to do this for us tonight. Page 28.
ואהבת אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך ובדרך ובשעותך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך ובקשרתיות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך ובטחתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתיכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
That was so beautiful. Thank you. It's incredible to see our youngsters, when it says teach them, that after their Benot Mitzvah, they are still here leading us in prayer. Let us continue, page 33. You're invited to read the indented sections. To break the bonds of anger, to be generous of heart. To break the bonds of shame, to live with self-respect. To break the bonds of envy, to serve one another in joy. Break the bonds of boredom, to be attentive to all God's gifts. To break the bonds of fear, to live with courage and strength. To untie the knots of betrayal, to love with the fullness of being. To break the bonds of loneliness, to receive a hand of hope. To break the bonds of self-centeredness, to extend a hand of help. Released from the darkness, our people found their freedom at the sea, and we pray for liberation at the dawning of this year.
מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקר יום לפני משה ומרים, זה לי אנו ואומרו. ונאמר כי פטר אדוני את יעקב, וכלום יד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני. גאל ישראל.
From a place of moving from fear into a place of protection. We do so on page 36 with Hashkivenu as we say, okay, so we've made it past that challenge of the Exodus, wherever our personal exoduses are, but now what? Now it's dark, and now I'm a little afraid, and are you still with me? Am I alone, or am I protected? And so we sing this song, this Hashkivenu, to say, we are not alone, and we are safe, whatever we are going through. Page 36.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ותקננו בעצה טובה מלפניך, והושיענו למען שמך. והגן בעדנו, והסר מעלינו אויב, דבר וחרב רב ויגון, והסר שטן
On 37, let's continue together at the top. Darkness settles slowly across the horizon. The new year rises before us, its fragile moon awaiting our embrace. Heaven and earth entwine in their annual dance of recreation. A fissure appears in the firmament tonight, an entranceway into new beginnings. Out beyond the swales, the sea expands and contracts, keeping time to the thrumming of the universe. Under this Rosh Hashanah sky, the path before us is uncertain. All we can do is hold each other tight as we make our way home. The Chatzi Kaddish is on page 40.
יתגדל ויקדש שמי רבה. בעלמא דברך ירתי וימליך מלכותי. בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל. V'pa'al v'trama v'naseh v'tador v'taleh v'tala shemei d'kurasha leila leila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran b'yama
On page 42 begins our Amidah, our standing prayer. For those that are unfamiliar with this book, these prayers that we're going to go through just a few of them together. They are on the even numbered pages. Here again, you are invited to rise. Page 42.
Tefillah
יגיד תהילתך, אדוני, שפתי תפתח, ופי יגיד תהילתך. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואימותינו אלוהי אברהם אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב אלוהי מושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני. מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך, מלך נעמיד ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה. מי כמוך האב הרחמים, זוכר יצורה לחיים ברחמים, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל.
We may take our seats. We're going to continue with the Amidah silently until we reach page 58. Continuing on page 59.
Help me to serve you truly with purity of heart. When I hear hateful or degrading speech, let me focus on good words and worthy thoughts. When my worst instincts cause me torment, teach me to care for myself and for others. In rough waters and misfortune, let me harbor patience and strength. Make my soul a sanctuary, that your light may dwell within me. Align all my acts in pursuit of goodness, so I may be a vessel of holiness, serving you with purity and truth.
On 63, we read together at the bottom. In the name of the daybreak and the eyelids of the morning, and the wayfaring moon and the night when it departs, I swear I will not dishonor my soul with hatred, but offer myself humbly as a guardian of nature, as a healer of misery, as a messenger of wonder, as an architect of peace. In the name of the sun and its mirrors, and the day that embraces it, and the cloud veils drawn over it, and the uttermost night, and the male and the female, and the plants bursting with seed, and the crowning seasons of the firefly and the apple, I will honor all life, wherever and in whatever form it may dwell, on earth my home, and in the mansions of the stars. On page 71, I continue. Ani alav hashalom. May I rest in peace. I, who am still living, say, may I have peace the rest of my life. I want peace now while I'm still alive. I don't want to wait like that pious man who wished for one leg of the golden chair of paradise. I want a four-legged chair right here, a plain wooden chair. I want the rest of my peace now. I have lived out my life in wars of every kind, battles without and within, close combat, face to face. The face is always my own. My lover face, my enemy face, wars with the old weapons, sticks and stones, blunt axe, words, dull ripping knife, love and hate. And wars with new-fangled weapons, machine gun, missiles, words, landmines exploding, love and hate. I don't want to fulfill my parents' prophecy that life is war. I want peace with all my body and all my soul. Rest me in peace. Alai hashalom. Let's take now a few moments of prayer, silent prayer, to find the peace that we all seek.
Adonai tzori ועל כל ישראל ואמרו
On this beautiful evening, I want you to journey with me to the stars. First discovered nearly 150 years ago by Edward Stefan, this eponymously named group is a cluster of galaxies, which has been heavily studied ever since. This first image of the Stefan Quintet comes from 1946, and you might recognize it from the movie It's a Wonderful Life from the same year. These were the talking ones that said, hey, we should send an angel. These are the talking ones. That's the Stefan Quintet. And you can mostly make out the big four in the center and the fifth one to the bottom left, all on a collision course. This picture is fuzzy, and it's not because of the pixelation. The picture itself was fuzzy. And it's hard to fully understand what is happening in the cosmos. Later discovery exposed that the fifth galaxy is really only in the forefront and not part of the true cluster of four, but the name quintet has persisted. In 2009, Hubble took a picture of the famous quintet with much clearer images, as you can see here. One of these galaxies is tripping into another at speeds of millions of kilometers an hour. And that's pretty impressive, even on a galactic scale. It's kicking up space gas like a motorcycle kicks up dirt on a rural road. And finally, just last year, the new Webb telescope gave us this image, revealing details of star nurseries, sweeping tails of gas, and huge shock waves causing tremendous gravitational interactions. So again, that's Webb, and this was the very first one. Tremendous changes in just 80 years. However, given that these are 300 million light years away, and they're going to collide at the same time that our sun expands enough to swallow the Earth in a couple billion years, do we think that we're really witnessing true change in the images from the last 80 years? Or, more probably, are we seeing more clearly the nature of the quintet because of the change in our technology? Put another way, is change external, happening to something else, or is change internal, happening to us? And though we are all made of star stuff, let's come a little bit closer to home, our own bodies. Each day, our skin cells are made and others slough off. Hair grows and falls out and hopefully regrows. Maybe we gain or lose a pound. We don't really notice these small changes. And then there are the days when you're just walking along and you glance in a mirror and you don't quite recognize the face. Seemingly overnight, wrinkles appeared. And maybe your dark mane has been replaced with a silver one. And maybe your eyes reveal a depth not there before. Maybe your smile is softer for years of kindness. or harder from years of pain. And you ask yourself, when did this happen? When did I start to look like this? At any point, we are beginning and ending and beginning and ending, and we're completely stuck in the middle. At CRJ, we need only glance at our 5 Torot, which we'll do tomorrow morning, to fully understand that visually. Over the course of Rosh Hashanah through Yom Kippur, we read from the very beginning of Genesis, wade in the middle of Leviticus, and then we just dabble a bit in Deuteronomy. And then in Simchat Torah, in about 3 weeks, we'll read the very end of Deuteronomy in a single breath, and in the very next breath, we start over with the first verse of Genesis. Though these Torah readings are cyclical and apparently continually start and end in the same spot, they are changed, for we, the reader, are changed. Talmudic Rabbi Ben Bagbag, I challenge you to find a better name than that. Ben Bagbag. I'm sort of doing a parenthetical aside here. Here's another one. Ben Hey. You thought it was just Akiva and Hillel. No, there's amazing names in here. So that's just sort of a little plug to study the Talmud a little bit. So you probably heard of Ben Bagbag's statement, even if you didn't know it was his. He's the one that said, Torah, turn it again, for everything is in it. At any point, something is always changing. And it's up to us to pay attention to that change and lean into it. And so I hear you saying, but change is hard. Yeah, it is. Really hard. And in many cases, inevitable. And sometimes out of our control. Sometimes completely in our control. But I want to first look at why we're resistant to change, and then why it's good for us. This is the season of change, after all. I didn't write this down, but I feel like it's obvious. That's why I didn't write it down. But in case you didn't notice, I am not Rabbi Engel. We're about the same height, but that's where our similarities end. So that's one big change that sort of happened at CRJ this year. And that was not in your control. So I just want to sort of say there's lots of different changes. It might be communal, it might be world, it might be very, very personal, as it is for me here. So I want to give you a list. And it's not comprehensive and it's not hierarchical, because some statements might make you go, that one's it, and for some others, it resonates differently. I am resistant to change because it means I have to take a deep introspective look at myself, and I don't know what I'm going to find. I am resistant to change because I don't know if I have the energy to make it happen. My habits and routines and my muscle memory, they're so ingrained in me that doing something different is going to take more than I have. I am resistant to change because I'm not sure if the change I'm thinking of is the right one. I'm resistant to change because it means I have to face a reality different than the one that I have constructed in my head. I'm resistant to change because I just have too many other fires to put out. I cannot possibly take on one more stressor. There are only so many difficulties in my life that I can handle, and I can't add any more. Some of these hit differently. I can hear this. I love that. I'm resistant to change because I worry what someone's going to think about me. I worry that I'll lose friends or community, or I'll be treated differently. I'm resistant to change because I'm just one person and I can't make any difference. I'm resistant to change because, listen, Things are totally fine the way they are. Why rock the boat? I'm resistant to change because it means something out of my control is happening, and I don't like this feeling of not knowing what is happening in general or what will be happening to me. I'm resistant to change because it might mean that I was wrong. I was wrong about a behavior or an interaction. I am resistant to change because I'm afraid. I am afraid of the unknown. Every one of these and more are true and reasonable and valid. Identifying what our personal resistance is the first step to conscious change. And I'm not going to go through point by point, though I do want to look at a few of these a little more closely. First, the change outside of our control. These are the easiest to address. There's literally nothing you can do about them. We can't prevent a war. We can't prevent natural disasters, deaths, births, friends' choice in where they live or their jobs. But what we can do is acknowledge our difficulties. We can lean on the support system that we have, and we can talk about our anxiety of the unknown. If the change is something that's going to alter a relationship, you can talk to the person and express yourself about what you'd like to see in that relationship. We cannot control what others do. We can control our interactions, our reactions, and our perspectives. And this requires knowing our own emotions, our own needs, and having honest conversations. So at the end of the day, we may not have control over these external situations, but we have complete control over our attitude and our perspective. I also want to look at one of the other hard resistance, fear. Fear is very real and very powerful emotion. It alerts us to danger. Fear comes from that animalistic instinct that helps guide immediate decision-making. This is the flight or fight, fawn or freeze response to unknown stimuli or situations, or as a learned response to trauma. But we are so much more than our trauma, and we're more than animals with instincts. And this is where we use our judgments, our relationships, and our experience to guide us. And so we dig down deep into our emotions and ask one of the hardest questions: what am I afraid of? Afraid of being alone? Afraid of losing money? Afraid of hurting someone, even unintentionally? Afraid of being hurt? And the list goes on and on. And if we can put down in writing, or at a minimum, say out loud our fears, we're better equipped to handle them. And I do believe that we must put into words our thoughts and not just leave them as nebulous thoughts in our heads. Write them down. Say them out loud to a friend, a therapist, a clergy person, or even yourself. We know the power of words every time we read the Torah and it says, God spoke and it was so. God said, let there be light, and there was light. So putting our fears into words is like putting a candle into a dark room. And finally, most apt for this season, the resistance which comes from admitting that in some way we were wrong. Most of us believe ourselves to be good, caring, respectful, moral individuals. And so when we're confronted with an alternative view, no, we get defensive. That can't possibly be true. That's our natural instinct. Then comes the hard work of listening to the alternative with an open and honest heart, of believing that we are fallible, especially when we're in relationships. Our default is to think that the way we think or go about something, well, that's the correct way. Well, that then extrapolates to that, well, any other way is therefore incorrect. But we know in our logic side that situations are rarely so dichotomous. Not only is the world, and certainly not relationships, not black and white, they're not even gray. That book title was wrong. There's a certain crowd in here that knows what I'm talking about. Relationships in the world is full of color and nuance. So admitting that I was wrong doesn't mean that we need to do a 180 in thought, only that there are a plethora of options available. A deep question then arises when we think about admitting a wrong in relationship. We must ask ourselves, is the relationship worth more than the effort of change costs? Because admittance of wrongdoing is but the first step. We must then endeavor to not do the same thing again. And that's what change is. So where does change come from? Where does this come from? A Hasidic story tells us of Chaim of Zantz. He was a young man, and like many young men and young people, they're going to change the world. They're going to march out into the world and reform the country from its evil ways. And then he reached the age of 30, and he looked around, and he saw that evil still exists in the world. So he says, okay. I was too ambitious. I'm going to start in my province. And then at the age of 40, he looked around his province and still saw evil. And so he said, okay, I was too ambitious. I'm going to just deal with my community. And at the age of 50, well, he saw his community hadn't changed either. So he decided to reform his own family. But he looked around and he saw that his family had grown and moved away, and he was alone. And he said, now I understand that I needed to begin with myself. And so he spent the rest of his life perfecting his own actions, his own words, and his own soul. During this High Holy Day season, we are asked to take stock of ourselves and our souls. We are asked to take stock of our relationships and our actions. We are encouraged to seek forgiveness for the harm that we have caused. Asking for an apology must come with a sincere effort to alter our ways such that we don't harm the person in the same way in the future. But let me be clear. Harm can come from inaction just as much as it does from action itself. Let us not fool ourselves by thinking, I didn't do anything wrong, if the retort can be, I didn't do anything right either. So let me point out that lacking self-worth is not healthy or helpful. On Yom Kippur, we'll recite our vidui, our confessions, we'll beat our chests. And that's a symbolic act acknowledging that we own our misdeeds. But we are not saying that we are somehow worthless. Rather, by acknowledging our faults, we're able to put the effort in and grow. And what a tremendous gift that is. Now, I am just starting to get to know Orlando, and I'm not in love with the weather yet. I'm told I will come January or February after hurricane season and this muggy stuff. I walked out to my car this afternoon, and it's mid-September, and I went, what is this? This isn't Rosh Hashanah. Where am I living? And so I just have to be perfectly honest. I'm gonna miss autumn. And some of you are from places that have autumn. Orlando doesn't. And I already know that I'm going to miss autumn because the change is gorgeous. And people drive from all over the country, like places from here, we drive to somewhere else to experience autumn. Some of you at home are like, yeah, I'm doing that right here. That's why I'm not with you in person. Right? Good for you. The dozens and dozens of green hues transform before your eyes into a veritable rainbow that commands awe and lots of photographs. It is not simply nature that is attractive. It is the change of nature that is magnetizing. Imagine that we can be like the trees, shed our protective green in favor of revealing our truest colors. Imagine the beauty we can put into this world if we all did that. Change is necessary and inevitable. And if we lean into it, really dig down deep and lean into it, change is good. Over these next 10 days, we are asked to be intentional about who we are, how we've been, and who we want to be. So I encourage each of us to embrace this time of year and this task. Allow yourself to be vulnerable. Name your fears, your anxieties, and then let them go. Reflect on your relationships and do the honest work to deepen them, including with yourself. May this season be one of reflection and honesty. May it be one of kindness and compassion as we witness growth right before our eyes, in ourselves and in others. May it lead to more meaningful relationships. May these changes, small and big, lead to a healthier, happier, more just world. May you be blessed along your journey, and may you be a blessing. Ken Yehi Ratzon. May all this be so in 5784. Shana Tova. Some of the hardest changes that happen are when our bodies don't do what we want them to do. And some of you go, yeah, you have no idea. We're all here in different ways. And sometimes we really need healing in our bodies, in our relationships, our spirits, and our souls. Because we are a beautiful, large community this evening, I'm going to ask you to hold inside your heart the names of the people who are in need of healing, and please feel free to include yourself. Let's give space for a few seconds for those names. On page 73, we're going to continue by singing Heal Us Now.
Refainu Adonai v'nerafei, Hoshienu יודע, אל קרוב לכל קרוב, אך קרוב ליראיו ישוע. We pray for healing of the body. We pray for healing of the soul, for strength of flesh and mind and spirit. We pray to once again be whole. Oh, please heal us now. Refuat ha-nefesh, refuat ha-guf, refuat shelema. Oh, please heal us now. Refuat ha-nefesh, refuat ha-guf, refuat shelema. Heal us now. Heal us now. הושיע את עמך, וברך את נחלתך, ורעים ונשאים עד העולם. מי שברך אבותינו, מי שברך אמותינו, אנא אדוני הושיענה. We pray for healing of our people. We pray for healing of the land and peace for every race and nation, every child, every woman, every man. Oh, please heal us now. Refuat ha-nefesh, refuat ha-guf, refuat shelema. Oh, please heal us now. Refuat ha-nefesh, refuat ha-guf, refuat shelema. Heal us now. Heal us now. Heal us now.
May those in need of a healing find it in a time near to us. On page 74. Avinu Malkeinu, strong was the faith of the generations before us. Feel free to join in. In exile, they proclaimed enduring hope. In the shadow of persecution, they affirmed a transcendent love and compassion. Ours is a different age, less confident and certain, more tentative in its trust. There are many who say the works of their hands, you are our gods. But when our worship centers on our own creations, we feel less gratitude, more doubt and despair. This is the paradox of our spiritual lives. We grow smaller in self-exaltation, nobler when we reach for you. On this night of return, let us find the humility to come close to you and open ourselves to your presence. For you are absent only when we fail to make room for you in our hearts, distant only when we turn away from you. Now, as others have done before us, let us overcome doubt and speak these words of affirmation. We call you Avinu, as loving parents. Forgive our wrongs and failings. Accept us in our human frailty. We call you Malkeinu, as sovereign of our souls. Help us rise from our brokenness to build a world of shalom. To this vision, we offer ourselves anew. Avinu Malkeinu is found on page 76. I'd like to invite up Nancy and Mitchwalk to open our arks, and as we do so, we all stand.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol aleinu, Ve'ol aleinu, V'tapeinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Kotvenu, B'Sefer Chaim Tovim. Avinu Malkeinu, Chodesh Aleinu, Chodesh Aleinu, Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu, Shema Koleinu, Shema Koleinu.
In front of our open ark, as we proclaim Avinu Malkeinu, we also recite the words of Elena Leshabeach, of saying, we are here, standing before you. We are ready. Except I don't know the page number.
116, I think. 116.
116. My apologies. No, that's not it. Nope.
It's one of
My
the places
apologies.
Elena's on.
82. See, this is just making sure that you're actually here and ready.
Aleinu leshabeach la'adon hakol, la'tet gedula le'otzer breshit, shelo sanu kegoyei haratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
As the ark is closed, we may once again take our seats. Thank you. The Elenu prayer, as with the Avinu Malkeinu prayers, have us really face our present. And we move from that presentness into a reflection, honestly, into a presentness without those who we love, thinking about those who came before us and how we wish they were still with us. On page 88, I'm reading from the top. All last requests are granted, and this is mine. Grasp my affection in your hand and hold it there. Gather my affection into your heart and store it there. Draw my affection in simple lines in your mind and foster it, further it, funnel it into all the coastal plains and lowlands where daily life and memory flow together. Let the river of affection rise and overflow. Let the grasses in the meadow near the river bend in the current where my love has flooded your land. We continue with singing May the Memory. It is our custom on Shabbat, of which this is still Shabbat, to recite the names of our loved ones who have their yahrzeits in this week. And so we continue that this evening. In a period of Shloshim, we are thinking about Bernard Pearl, cousin of Dr. Cheryl Sakharoff. We are thinking about Bunny Eisenberg, mother of Nina Chatham. And we're thinking about Barbara Males, dear friend of Risa Nicholson. And on their yahrzeits, we are also thinking about Florence Benzaken, David Bierman, Gertrude Birchwood, Patricia Canavan Cano, Isidore S. Engel,
Joseph Fisher, Rose Freeman, Lillian Greenberg, Belle Goodman, Leonard Goldman, Eileen Joy Goldstein, Corinne Gumson, Leonard Halpern, Robert Hansen, Maybelle Hecht, Anna Hubsch, Malvin Katzler, Harry Kudlowitz, Samuel Levy, Julius Levin, Walter Levy, Ruth Liebman, Sidney Lipman, Max Mechtkin, Selma Orenstein, Miriam H. Passman, Oscar Pinsky, Gertie Reinhardt, Roseanne Ressler, Emmanuel Rosenthal, Marcel Salman, Bertel Hannah Schiffman, Michael Seligman, Faye Simon, Bill Simon, Velma Smith, Evelyn Fisher Solomov, Stuart Sohn, Ruth Speckland, Betty S. Alpert Surloff, Oscar Tenenbaum, Ruth Wallace, Joseph K. Wolf, Isidore Wolfson, and I apologize for any inadvertent mispronunciations. If the name of your loved one was said, please rise. And if there is someone that you are saying Kaddish for that was not on this list, please also rise. We, your congregation, stand with you. Kadisha tome is found on page 90. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei decho beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'yizman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam elamei amaya. Yitzbarach v'yishtabach v'yitzba'ar v'yitzromam v'yitznaseh v'yitzhadar v'yitzaleh v'yitzhalal shemei dekudusha brichu le'ela ul'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechamata da amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemayim v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael V'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, huya aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru, amen. Zichronam levracha, may their memories be for you blessings as we take our seats. And we sort of come back to the present. We think about all the blessings that our loved ones have given us, and we add to those blessings each other. We add to those blessings the ability to be here with one another. And we could not be here today and have this beautiful experience without some gratitude. And so I'd love to be able to say thank you to Adam, to Chris, to Michael, Mike, Alan, Annie, and Barry. None of this would be possible. None of this would be possible without our choir and with Julian, our pianist. So we thank you so much for enhancing our holidays this evening. And I told you just a few seconds ago to sit, right? Well, here's the fun thing. You think you come into the sanctuary just to pray, but it's also for calisthenics. So this is sort of like, okay, it's after 9, maybe we're just like a little sleepy. One thing that I think is beautiful for us to be together is for when we're able to sort of embrace and bring in the new year together, and by standing and saying, we're ready, we're here. So as our tweens and teens choir is coming up, come on over, to lead us in our new song, in our new year, I invite all of you to also stand.
this be a year of love and kindness. May strangers come to be friends. May truth and compassion always guide us. Amen. May this be a year of hope and healing for all of those in need. May all of our deeds be a blessing. Amen. A new year, a good year, a chance to start all over. A new year, a sweet year, a chance to bring us closer. May this be a year of selfless giving. May this be a year of peace. And may we forgive and be forgiven. Amen. A new year, a good year, a chance to start all over. A new year, a sweet year, a chance to bring us closer. A new year, a good year, a chance to start all over. A new year, a sweet year, a chance to bring us closer, closer to the ones we love, a world we can be proud of. Long as there are stars above, there comes a new year.
Shana Tova, everyone. Cantor and I will be out there to greet you.